Well, good afternoon everybody, it's Derek at Lockie's Locksmith Services, and what we're going to have a look at today is wafer locks, specifically wafer locks that's contained within window handles. Wafer locks are actually all over the place. They're in window handles, they're in some garage door locks, they're in post box locks. They're actually all over. Cash boxes, you find them all over in the UK. I don't know about in other countries. Well, first of all, we'll have a look at how wafer locks actually work. So first of all, there will be a core, which is this. Now what happens with a wafer lock is that inside there you can see them just protruding out little metal plates shaped like wafers, and that's probably where they get the name. So when the key's out, they protrude and they would fit inside a housing or the shell of a lock, which in this case would be here. On this garage door lock, you can actually see that there's a groove inside there. What I'll do is I will push the key in. When you push the key in, it brings all the wafers back in. This will fit in to where the grooves are, and when I take the key out, that's what makes it locked. So it actually sticks in the housing, which is there and there. This is actually double-sided. You can get single-sided and double-sided wafer locks. So that's how they work. So the first method that we can use to open this this window handle, normally will, people move into a new property and they've not got any keys for the window handles. So if you take a picture of the window handle, have a look online. There's plenty of people who identify the type of handle for you and post you a key out at a cost. Because these are made in the thousands and wafer locks have quite a low tolerance, it's normally the same key that will open all the windows in your property. And if it's the same windows on an estate, then it'll open your key will open every window lock on the estate. But luckily enough, they're on the inside. However, so what we have is we have a number of ways. This is one way. So obviously we know the manufacturer of window handles, and I have a copy of near enough of the key for the window handles in the UK. In fact, what you'll see on there is that I normally have two. So if I do go out and open some windows for somebody, I can leave them with a key, and then that leaves me with one key. There's always codes on the back. I can identify the key and I can get another key. They're normally off the shelf. These are not normally cut. So that's one way of doing it, and obviously these keys that'll fit this lock. Normally when I'm looking through the bunch, it's the last one that'll open it. So just to prove the points, we will put that in the other way around, and obviously that will open up the window handle. And what we'll do is we will lock it up again. I'll turn it around, lock it up, so that's locked in place. That's the first thing that we can try and do. Let's see if we've got a key for it. Now, if you've got no window keys, then what we can do is we can actually use a bit of mica. So 1 minute, I'll go and get my mica. I'm actually losing the plots, it's here. So because they're spring loaded, what we can do is we can get a piece of mica, and then what I'm actually going to do is I need quite a thin piece for this to work. This piece feels a bit thinner. Because they're spring loaded, I'm simply going to insert this to the back of the handle, rock the handle a little bit, and then I'm going to push through, and that will open up the handle like that. So there we go, it's still locked. So that's another way. Another way of doing it is by jiggler keys. So what I've got here is 2 sets of jigglers. You've got micro jigglers, which are the smaller ones, excuse me, mini jigglers, which is the bigger ones. Now, depending on the job that you're doing, and all we do with these is there's different sets. As you can see, there's quite a few set for double wafers. This is actually a single wafer that's in there. So what I will do is I will use this one because they will fit. I'm just going to push this into the, and there we go. You can see how easy that one actually opened up the handle. And what we'll do, we'll lock that back up. That's near enough as fast as the key. So there are your mini jigglers. And then the other way that we can do it is actually by using some picks. So what we will do here is, I've got 3 picks here. That's a city rake. And all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to push the wafers up. So if you remember how the lock actually works, when the key goes in, it retracts the gates or the wafers and allows it to work. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to push them down to overlift them. As long as I get it in the right place, like that, it allows me to turn the lock over. So that's what I can do. What I've done is I've just overlifted that. That's with a city rake. These are actually Clom Navigator picks. I get simply because they have a selection of wafer picks in there and hooks, which I use a lot of when I'm locksmithing. Now, this one is an unusual one. It's not a snowman. You could open it with a snowman, but it's the same thing again. This is an unusual shaped pick. I'm not quite sure what this one's called. Same thing again. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to push down on the wafers and open it up. And when we're locking it, it's a little bit more awkward. And there we go, that's done that. And the last method is actually by using a wafer pick. So this is a wafer there, squeeze it together. It would work on double wafers. So let's put that in there. As you can see, that one works quite well. Now the other method is destructive, but I'm not going into that. Effectively, we've done training for Merseyside Fire Service in the past, and this is one of the best parts that they enjoyed, actually opening windows, and it was for the venting windows. Thank you.